Okay, running into trouble. This is a magnetic tape measure head, which is great if you want to pick up all the iron filings off your floor because you grinded some stuff last night. It's also great to stick on the end of the head, the bolt head. Convenient. So you can measure this. Now this is the spacing for a 131-inch wheelbase, bolt to bolt. And unfortunately, this wheelbase is going to be 119, which is supposed to be 57 1/4, so it's 3/4 of an inch longer. I chopped the top of these Wagoneer brackets down so they'd actually sit on the frame here. They're just basically there for layout, so I have something concrete. Okay, well, here is the box of much frustration and cursing. Took me about an hour of grinding around it to get it off. I tried not to cut into the flange. Some of it couldn't be helped. But yeah, I basically cut 90% of the way through the steel. You can't see through that. Trust me, there's a gap. And the bottom. So that is located at 56 1/2. The day has arrived. So it's taken me a bit. These are all edited. Usually I'll do 3 or 4 days worth of work in one video and it'll be somewhat condensed. So the passenger side rear shackle bracket box thing is what I've been calling it because I don't know what else to call it, is tack welded on from that bolt to that bolt is 56 1/2 inches. Which is exactly the same as that bolt to that bolt. So I'm not going by the leaf spring length. I was actually pointing at this one. So this is the one that everything pivots on. That's the one that it shows in the blueprints. Is supposed to be 57.2, I think, or 56.5 maybe. I could be off on those. Anyway, everything is tacked. I don't have it on jack stands. So let's see if this works. Yeah, so the suspension works. Obviously I have to reattach shock mounts. Those are front shock mounts laying on there. I have the rope for finding the center line to the chassis because I bought this thing for $100 like 14 years ago. It was a whole truck. It was all broken, but the drive shaft, and that's not it. And the transmission transfer case were not in it. The front frame rail had been busted in half, so I had to weld that. The engine, I think, was missing 4 pistons. Well, they were there kind of in pieces total, accumulative. There were 8 pistons, but not connected to the rods, at least not the way they were supposed to be. So I bought it basically for the frame, which I didn't know was screwed up, and the axles, and neither one of those axles are on here. The front axle has had parts pulled out of it. The rear axle has been removed completely and put on a different truck. So these are off a different truck. And the drive shaft is off a different truck. And so now we're trying to make this look like that. So, oops, as of right now, I have to retrue everything. I did gain an 1/8 of an inch in elevation from one. I think this is an 1/8 inch higher than this side. And I thought that would even out. It was about 1/4 of an inch before I put the passenger side bracket on today. So welding it did kind of even them up, but I still need to do more welding, which means more heat, which means more warp. So I'm not sure exactly how to do that. When I did the other truck in 2010, I ended up with 3/4 of an inch out. The right side was higher than the left. And I retweaked it and did a bunch of different things to it. So now it's only about 3/8 of an inch off. But I really don't want to do that on this. I guess part of this is basically telling the story that there was nothing known about this truck's straightness, trueness, its steering alignment, anything. So every point on here I measured, I ended up triple checking, and I found out basically the back of the frame rails are off. And so I based my location on 2 measurements. One was from that point, which of course I had to put there, which was based off of that bolt hole, or hole, I don't know what goes in it. And then I checked to make sure that cross member was square, and it is, and it's centered in the middle of that hole on both sides. And so I measured back from there to my shackle bracket box thingy center, the same distance on both sides, and that's where I decided to go from, because if I measured from the back forward or from the old position, because this is the correct thingy from here, I just moved it forward, like as it would say there, 12.75 inches, but that's not exact. I was getting different measurements. So after pulling out what little hair I have left, I just decided I was going to go from something I could verify was straight and true, and that ended up being that cross member. So if you're going to do this, find something that's square, because most of it won't be. Or if you know the vehicle and it doesn't have any issues pulling from one side or the other, or constantly dog tracking or whatever, you can probably assume the frame is mostly square. But having to replace or re-weld a cross member, I didn't want to take anything for granted. But it turns out most of it was pretty good. It's just the back end, basically the tails of the frame are not right. So they're going to get cut off anyway. Stay tuned.